And welcome back to Open. Daren Jaime here with you. And we're so glad that we can continue to share and bring you the news, the information, and the things that you need to know. And as we said, of course, we're not in studio, but we continue to bring you important people, important information, and things virtually so that everybody can become better equipped to know how to navigate. And speaking of learning how to navigate, it's been a challenge for businesses, but it's also been a challenge for educational institutions. And so the campus of Lehman College, one of those who have been widely affected by COVID-19. And so we're pleased to be having on our show right now the president of Lehman College, Dr. Daniel Lemons, who is sharing with us a little bit about what is going on as far as Lehman College is concerned and their navigation to distance learning and the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Lemons, good to have you.
Great to be here, Daren.
Hey, thank you for taking the time to share with us. And, we're used to being a little bit closer, but of course, we're all forced to have this distance, social distancing due to COVID-19. Talk to us about the college per se. How are you guys navigating given the fact of this pandemic?
You know, we've been in the same boat as all other colleges and universities across the country, right? Suddenly confronted with this problem. And like everybody else, it was sort of slowly dawning on us, right? And we look back now, we're very smart now that we look back and we see exactly what everybody should have been doing. You know, I'm a scientist and a biologist, so I couldn't help myself. There was a meeting on February 28th that the state ed department and the Department of Health had for all the college leaders around the state. And they rolled out kind of, here's what we think is happening. At that time, there was one case in all of New York State. If you can think about that, go back to February 28th, there was one case. And they put the data up on the table, here's how many we've tested. And of course, it was very few people. And so what I started doing from that day forward, I started tuning into the state website every day, and I started making my own graph of what's happening. So by March 9th, which was about a week and a half later, right? By March 9th, there were about 20 cases in New York City, that's all. But when I was looking, I was plotting this curve, I could see it was going, it wasn't a straight line, it was an exponential looking curve. And I thought to myself, that's what's gonna happen. Even though there's hardly any data right now, I can see what's happening in New York City, what's happening in New York State. And so that put me on really high alert. I mean, February 28th, I got together a big group on campus. We started talking about what are we going to do here? What are we looking forward? And I told the group, we met again the next week, and I said, you know what? We got to be ready to close in 2 days because I don't know that that's going to happen. That's the governor's call. But I think it might happen. And guess what? 2 days later, we were ready to move all the students off campus.
Right.
So,
and then you get into this distance learning, right? And everybody talks about distance learning. There are online classes already, right? But talk to us about navigating that distance learning, because even though you might be ready, faculty may not be ready, students may not be ready. So what kind of adjustment has that been for both faculty and students to really get to this distance learning format?
Well, not surprisingly, it's been a huge adjustment. Now, Lehman College was fortunate because we had 20% of our classes were already fully online or partly online. So we had some faculty and students who were already doing that in that format. But of course, that leaves 80%, which weren't. And many of those classes didn't have any digital information or part of the course up, even the syllabus online. And so everybody had to scramble. Faculty had to scramble. And so we put together a whole network of faculty who were experts to help other faculty members. We really cranked up training and getting faculty online. And that was a huge challenge. And the faculty and staff have been amazing. I mean, they just set themselves to the task, kind of working night and day, doing what they can do. That's a challenge, but I think really the biggest challenge and the biggest worry that we had was students, because we couldn't make the assumption that all students being at home were going to have adequate access to the internet or to their courses. So how are they going to finish their courses if they can't really be in a good position to write papers, to submit them, to do all the other parts of the coursework that needed to go on? And so we, as soon as we realized this might happen, we started locating were laptops. We got Chromebooks and we got iPads, and we bought as many as we could buy with the resources that we had, knowing that we would need to loan those out to students. So we started the program. We had let students know right away, we're going to get together these machines for you, these either Chromebooks or iPads, and we'll try to get them to you. Then, of course, the issue became the students on campus, and we had kind of a week there where there was a time for everybody to kind of get going, get ready to do this. But even by then, we weren't ready because we had lots of students who didn't have their computers. And now it was getting tough for students to get around the city. It was dangerous, right? You want to get on a subway, you come all the way to Lehman College. We didn't want students to do that. So we managed to start sending them out through UPS. And now, by now, we've loaned out about over 700 Chromebooks mainly, and some iPads to students. Yeah. So we don't know for sure that we've gotten every student that needed one, but we've gotten a lot of students taken care of. So students who would not have been able to finish the courses for the term, and actually a lot of students, say about 200 or so of those students are graduating this year.
And you tapped into graduation, which was my next question. And I want to get before I got two more questions I definitely want to get before you. One is about graduation. One is about the credit policy. Talk to us about graduation. I know a lot of universities and colleges really have to make the hard decision. And for some people, you know, it's the first time that they're looking forward to their college graduation. But for the class of 2020, it's not going to happen in cap and gown as the way that we would normally see it. What's going to happen?
Well, the class of 2020 is really special, right? And you know, sometimes you really don't want to be special. And this is, you know, there's no way to sugarcoat the loss, right? Because it's a huge experience to come to graduation with your family, with your friends. You acknowledge and you celebrate this tremendous accomplishment. And so that's a loss that we can't do that all together in May, at the end of May. But we're working on doing a virtual graduation. So we're going to have a ceremony, and we're working out the details of that now, how we're going to acknowledge all the students who've made it there. I mean, last year we had a record number of graduates, 3,700 graduates. And I haven't seen the number yet for this year for this, but I know it's going to be similar to that. So it's a lot of students that are graduating, and we need to celebrate. So we're working on that. We'll have speakers. We're going to honor. We're going to still have our honors convocation, and where we acknowledge students who've done it very well. And graduation, we hope, will be special in its own way.
Right. And what kind of alternatives are available for those students who may not necessarily be doing so well during this pandemic, trying to navigate? Maybe you're trying to take care of a family member. Maybe it's you yourself who's been affected by COVID, and you still want to maximize your educational experience. What kind of resources are available? I know that there's a credit, no credit situation going on. Talk to us about that.
So the university-wide has a credit, no credit option, and students can actually select 20 days after the term ends. So they have time to think about it, whether they really want to do that or not. It's optional. You know, this again has happened in campuses all across the country. I don't know that all campuses are doing that, but many, many campuses have given that option to students. And so it's acknowledging the fact this has really been a tough term. And, you know, students haven't uniformly had a great experience. For some, it's worked really well. Some have really struggled with this. And that's going to impact how well they do. And I think we all acknowledge that nobody should have something like a grade count against them when the circumstances are so tough and when it's really impossible. I mean, I talked to the student leaders last week, and one of the things they're concerned about is, are they getting enough leeway with their instructors so that they can navigate their way? Yeah, maybe, as you said, maybe they're taking care of a family member. They're all in an apartment and not really able to leave very much, and it's really difficult to do the coursework. Maybe they've got children that are also trying to do their coursework. It's hard. And so they need some flexibility on deadlines and on getting this course, you know, the term finished, getting their courses done.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Daniel Lemons, I know you got a lot ahead of you and a lot in front of you. Definitely our prayers are with you. Thank you so much for your leadership and your guidance during this time. I'm sure the students of Lehman College certainly appreciate it. And I thank you for coming to share with us here on Open.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, we'll see you soon, and hopefully we'll see you in person and in studio.
I hope so.
All right, Dr. Daniel Lemons, our guest here on Open. Want you to stay with us. We've got more show coming up right after this.